G'day, you mob. How's it going? Welcome to this episode of Aussie English, the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English. I'm your host, Pete, and as usual, it is a pleasure to be recording this episode and hopefully helping you guys level up your Australian English. So today I thought I would give you a bit of an update on the family. You know, I don't think we've talked about this recently. I haven't had Kel on the podcast, my wife, Kel. I haven't had her on the podcast for a while. And I don't think I've really talked too much about the kids specifically on the podcast recently. So I thought maybe it's a good chance to give you guys a bit of an update on what we're all doing, you know, our stages in life and recent occurrences, all that sort of stuff. So it's currently May, and it's May of 2025, as you're probably well aware. Noah is about to turn 6 next month. My daughter Joanna is 4, so 4 in a few months. Her birthday's in March. My wife is 37. Her birthday's in March, and I have turned 38 this year in April. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, we all have our birthdays in the first half of the year. They're all sort of stuck around there. And I have my sister as well, my brother-in-law, I have my mother. We're all in that first half of the year. So, yeah, that's all of our ages, I guess. Joanna is still at daycare. She goes there 3 days a week, and she still seems to love it, you know, having a really good time. Everyone at daycare, all of her little, like, people in her cohort seem to be nice little kids, you know, doesn't seem to be much of an issue. And the way that it works in Australia is that if you are an Australian citizen and you have children, you get subsidised daycare where you receive a discount on the full fee that it would cost to send your kid to daycare, depending on your income. I think if you've got an income of under a household income under, I think it's like $250, it might be $300,000. You'd have to look it up if you want the specifics. But if it's under that amount, you get a certain amount of money from the government to help you afford to pay for childcare so that you can obviously go to work, earn money, and pay taxes to the government. You know, the circle of life. The circle of life. So she's there 3 days a week at the moment and absolutely loving it. She's a really, really clever girl. She's very good at drawing. Her language skills are really good, although she doesn't really speak much Portuguese at all. Noah's a similar story to that. We've sort of failed to some extent teaching them to actively speak Portuguese. I might talk a bit about that later on. But yeah, so she's at daycare, speaking English pretty much 100% of the time. Besides with her mother and I, you know, we might switch to Portuguese quite often when we're together, but she spends, probably the majority of the time that she's speaking English, she's talking with her friends and with other family members who don't speak Portuguese, and it's the same case for Noah as well. But yeah, she's really passionate about drawing and painting and doing art. I think all kids her age probably are, you know, if they're 3, 4, 5 years old, they just seem to be obsessed with drawing and painting and, you know, putting stickers on things and gluing bits of paper together and doing all sorts of creative artwork like that. So that's a huge hobby of hers. She's really good at ball sports. At least she's very quick to pick it up. She's great at catching. I'm always astonished when we throw the ball around, whether it's a soccer ball, a football, a tennis ball, whatever sort of ball it is. She seems to be very good at catching it. So she's got those skills down pat. She's better than Noah, which is really impressive. You know, he's a young boy, he's 2 years older than her, and she's probably better than him at catching balls. And he just loves it. She's such a rough character too. She's always got scruffy hair. Her hair is always a mess, like a bird's nest, almost like it would get natural dreadlocks if we didn't deal with it on a regular basis. But it's like you brush her hair, you try to, she hates it. You try and brush her hair on a regular basis, you know, once a day or whatever, and within 10 minutes it's scruffed up again. You know, it's all messy. She roughs it up with her hands. She rolls on the ground. She puts a hoodie on or something, takes it off, puts it back on, puts a hat on, and it's just all scruffed up. So I think she has like very fine, wavy hair, and as a result, it just knots together really easily. Whereas Noah, I don't remember ever having that kind of an issue. I think he has thicker hair, and most kids that I see around seem to have thicker hair. So I have a feeling she just has very fine hair that knots very easily. But it's just so, she's such a funny little human now, you know, a funny little person. because she's just always messy. She just doesn't care about getting dirty, having scruffy hair. She's not very girly in that sense. There are all these other girls that you see at Noah's school and at daycare. Their parents look like they've spent hours doing their hair, making them look very pretty, putting them in nice clothing. And then by the end of the day, those kids all look the same still. You're like, how are they still so clean? Their hair is perfect. Everything looks amazing. And then I'll see my daughter in the corner and she's doing art, but just like a ball of chaos, covered in dirt. She'll have like food stains on herself. She'll have water on herself somewhere, wet stains. She'll have scruffy hair. She'll be missing a shoe somewhere. She'll have been outside in her socks running around in the sand pit. She just doesn't care. She just doesn't care. And the other thing about her that's a bit different from Noah is she's just always so happy. She's like always laughing, always smiling, always just really, really happy and sort of a joy to be around, unless she's absolutely losing her shit. If she's having a tantrum, yeah, that's when she's obviously not smiling or laughing. She's quick to do that at times. If she doesn't get her way, she's very quick to kind of turn it on, to flick a switch and suddenly just flip it and get very, very angry. Which I think most kids like that, that age, they're sort of like that. But yeah, she's great. Noah. So Noah started school this year. He's at primary school at the moment. And he took to that like a duck in water. So he absolutely loved it. Jumped straight in and just didn't look back. Didn't care about, all the changes of going to school, having sort of much more of a routine, a structure, having a teacher who's teaching as opposed to daycare, where the daycare carers kind of just make sure you don't, hurt yourself, that you get food, that you get cleaned if you need to go to the toilet, that you've got activities to do. Obviously, that change going to school here in Australia, at least with prep, it's not too structured, but I think it's, they'll have these little sort of activities each day that they're doing over a period of time, for each one, like an hour or so. So they'll be drawing, they'll be doing some writing, they might be doing some art, some music, it sort of rotates through these things, and they have their play times, they'll have recess, they'll have lunchtime. And so he's loving school. He's got a whole bunch of his mates from daycare that went to the same school as him because the school's only just down the road. It's nearby. And so he has probably, 10 kids that he would know from daycare that went to his primary school. And there's four prep classes. And so there's probably about 70 to 80 kids. And so far, at least, they just all seem like great kids. He seems to be friends with everyone. Loves hanging out with girls, boys, playing sports, running around digging holes in the sand. He's obsessed with bird feathers at the moment for some reason. He loves going out looking for bird feathers. I don't remember ever having that obsession when I was a kid. I used to look for bugs and want to put them in containers and collect caterpillars or ants or skinks, little lizards if I found them, or maybe a frog or moths. We always used to do that. I grew up in Callista, up in the Dandenong Ranges, the mountains near Melbourne, on the outside of Melbourne. And yeah, so there was lots of nature around when I was his age growing up in that. So you could always go outside and just, lift up rocks and look under logs and all that sort of thing and find loads of little critters and cool animals. He, on the other hand, seems to be much more interested in finding feathers. And what else has he been doing recently? Because it's funny, they kind of go through these stages, it seems, of like wanting to collect things and find things and get things and have a collection of stuff, little cars, rocks, crystals, minerals, all that sort of stuff. It's really funny how they kind of become little collectors very early on. So he does that a lot, and yeah, he's got a whole bunch of mates. It's bloody exhausting, I have to tell you guys. You guys with small kids will know the number of parties. My gosh. And because everyone's such a young age at the moment still, they're so inclusive. So every kid has a birthday and they invite every other kid in the class. And so you have 20 kids in the class. So that's minimum 20 birthdays a year. So that's one every other week, right? Every 2 or 3 weeks, you've got at least one. Then you've also got that happening with Joanna at daycare. So there's always, there's probably 10 to 20 birthdays that she gets invited to for daycare as well. So at the moment, at least, it seems like there's 1 or 2 birthdays every weekend. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so much work because when you're younger, you kind of look forward to weekends thinking, oh, I've got all this time to relax. But now with small kids, it's almost like the weekends are more stressful than the week, the weekdays. You got to work. Kids are sort of being taken care of at school or at daycare. You come home, you kind of have the evening or the morning routines, and then just sort of take it easy. But then on the weekend, you've got them for the entire day, and you have to kind of come up with interesting activities to give them something to do. You've got to go to places, go to the beach, go to the park, go kick the ball on the oval, go to a museum. You've got birthday parties. You're seeing relatives. We'll be seeing my parents and my sister and her family. Sometimes we'll be going away on little day trips to Ballarat, to the zoo, that sort of thing. So it's just weekends become so busy when you've got small kids that, I hadn't anticipated that as much. And it sort of it creeps up on you. Like it only sort of sunk in more recently once Noah started going to school, because that was when it really started going crazy with just the number of activities and stuff. And now he's doing football. So he does a program called Aussie. So I guess that's like Australia Kick, and it's run by the AFL, the Australian Football League. And I think, it's a form of indoctrination. They're trying to give kids a reason to learn about AFL football, Australian rules football early on in life, and either become supporters of the sport where they like watching the TV, going to the games, buying the merchandise, all that sort of stuff, or they themselves, the kids, become players, right? They might be playing in league somewhere. Maybe they end up in the big league, ending up playing for the AFL or the VFL and making it a living. So yeah, that's run by the AFL, and he's doing that, and it's it's a really cool environment at the moment. I'm actually quite enjoying it. I was never a big football guy growing up. I loved sports, but I loved playing it. I didn't really like spectating and watching it as much. I don't know if that sounds weird. You guys are probably thinking, what the hell? But I always really preferred, like I went to school and I played soccer, I did fencing, so sword fighting, and I did tennis as my sports at school. I went to a private school where we had to do a sport. It was mandatory. And you would do a summer sport and a winter sport. And, a summer sport would be tennis, a winter sport would be soccer or football or something, And so I actually really loved doing the sports and training and practicing and having matches on weekends at other schools. You had to compete against other schools. But I was never one to really sit down and just watch sport for the sake of watching it. And again, so that probably sounds weird. Anyway, I'm sort of really getting into it now and just spectating and watching my son. Obviously, it's fun watching him learn and enjoy himself. And when we go to Auskick at the moment, we do it in a town nearby where there's hundreds of kids. It's probably 100, 150 children, between the ages of about 4 to maybe 8 that go. So they're like 4-year-olds, preps, 1s and 2s, so grade 1 and grade 2. Girls, boys, the whole kit and caboodle. So you have all these kids there on this oval, and they set up these sort of like stations, I guess, or, they have a certain activity that they're doing for kids to rotate round. And so they'll have, the oldest kids will be playing a match against one another. So they'll have 2 teams, and they'll be playing a match on one end of the oval. And the younger kids, probably the grade 4s, preps, 1s and 2s, there's 4 different stations where there are these activities, and they rotate around them every 15 minutes. And they'll play the siren as if it's each quarter of the game, so every 15 minutes, to tell the kids they have to rotate around. And it's a lot of fun because the whole town is there, it feels like. There's all these parents that are, give or take, 5 years around my age. We're all about 30s, 40s with these young kids. And there's probably twice as many parents as there is per kid, maybe 1.5 times. So there's probably 200 parents on the oval. And we all just sort of gathered around chatting to one another. We see people we know, there's kids from school, there's kids from daycare. Joey comes with us as well. She gets involved playing with me and playing with other kids. All the parents around, you quite often see, other kids' parents. And so you hang out with them and chatting to them. They then have a sausage sizzle at the end. So you can make a $1 coin or $2 coin. I think it's a gold coin donation. So you just take a $1 or $2 coin, you give it to the people who are running the Odds Kick thing. And at the end, you can get a sausage in bread, right? A snag in bread with some sauce or mustard or onions, whatever it is. So it's kind of nice. It's really nice to have that kind of community-based event once a week where you get to see everyone, and there's just a lot of people around having fun, enjoying themselves, and the kids are having fun too. So that was something that kind of came out of left field for me. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do. And I wasn't thinking that it would be such a kind of cool environment or thing to be a part of. And I like the fact at the moment, at least, because it's May, the sun is kind of setting. So Auskick will start at about 5:30. We get down there a bit before that so we can have a bit of a kick and a play first. And then gradually everyone starts filling up on the oval as the sun's setting. And then just as the sun sets, the games or the sort of tasks and everything that the kids are doing they begin, and the lights turn on. So they have those large lights around the oval and they all turn on, and it's just, I don't know, it's really atmospheric. It's very beautiful. I like seeing the sun set. It's this oval is surrounded by trees, like pine trees, tall trees, and so you kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere to some degree. Like there's buildings around, but at the same time it's kind of a bit isolated, and you can't really hear other things. You can only really hear the football and the kids and the people talking. So it's a really nice atmosphere. And if you guys, if you have young kids, you're living somewhere, you want to meet people, you want your kids to do something physical, and, they don't have to take the sport that seriously, but they can get involved and have a bit of fun, kick the ball around, handball it to each other, meet other kids. Noah's already made like 4 or 5 friends that he didn't know beforehand, and now he sees them once a week. So if you're thinking about how do I get my kids to get a bit of exercise, to meet other children, and how can I potentially meet other people and make friends with them, Auskick is a really good thing to try out. Obviously, any other sort of sport event like that nearby to you would be worth checking out, especially if your kid's already interested in that kind of sport. But Auskick, at least here, there's just so many people that it's just a really nice vibe. There's women with prams, they got their kids, there's grandparents that come out. My dad, Ian, from the Goss episodes on here, he came out and watched Noah, and he's a massive sports head. He'll watch anything. If it's sports related, he'll watch it. And he's obsessed with AFL football. So yeah, he was having a good time and getting a kick out of watching Noah playing his favorite sport. So that's what they've been doing. Kel has been working her butt off. So she works in administration at a music school. And yeah, it's just very busy. She starts sort of later on in the morning, so I tend to drop her at work after dropping the kids off. And then she finishes around, late evening, 6 to 8 p.m. So we usually go get her. Tonight she got the bus home because we have the Auskick thing going on simultaneously. So it's hard to get her. We only have one car. So she's doing that at the moment and enjoying it. Loves working with the people she's working with, is having a really good time. She's gone crazy with fitness. So probably about a year and a half ago, she started doing PT sessions, so personal trainer run sessions at a gym near her work. And she started running as well. Shortly after that, she was trying to aim for being able to run a 5K race. And I think she's booked one. She's going to do her first one in September. So she's been training hard for that, running 3 to 4 times a week, trying to do 5Ks at least once a week, and trying to get prepared for that race, which I think is up in Melbourne. So that's in like September or something. Yeah. So I'm really proud of her. She's doing so well, and she's, looking amazing. She's done so well after having 2 kids, which is a very, very tolling thing to go through if you're a woman in terms of physical changes to your body. So I'm incredibly proud of her and what she's achieved with her fitness and training and everything, and feel a little bit guilty and embarrassed that I haven't been able to achieve the same kind of fitness, I should say, lose the same amount of weight, get as fit, get as strong as she has over the last year. So yeah, well done, Cal. Besides that, so I've been busy. I've been busy. It's all over the shop, guys. I'm sort of like the stay-at-home parent at the moment. Doing the drop-offs and pickups and everything like that, and taking them to their events during the week. And then Kel does a bit more of the heavy lifting on the weekends and sort of getting them up in the mornings and helping them go to bed in the evening. She's taking care of that side of things. So it's interesting how we've kind of partitioned our roles as parents. And I imagine that's a natural thing that happens in every family. Both parents end up doing sort of different things, but, dividing the chores and the tasks and everything up equally but differently amongst one another or between each other. So, yeah, it's been difficult to get used to this year, I think, because school, you don't realize, you think when they go to school, sweet, this is free. We don't have to pay for it like daycare the same way, at least if it's public school. But they finish earlier. So Noah finishes at like 3:30, so I have to be there at about 3:15, or a bit later to get ready for him to come out and then pick him up. And then I have to kind of entertain him in the evenings. We have to come up with things to do, go to the park, go to the beach, see family, see friends, do things, maybe sometimes we take it easy as well. But it means, sort of it's carving into my work time. So where I was previously able to spend a lot more time working during the day, in the middle of the day, and I could pick them up at like 4:30, 5 p.m. in the evenings from daycare. Now it's kind of like much earlier, and I always feel bad. I pick up Noah and I drive past Joey's daycare, so I'm always like, well, I've got to pick up her as well. I might as well get them both. So Joey's not staying in daycare anywhere near as long, and it's kind of like if you have one of them, you might as well have both in terms of the distraction from work, But yeah, it's good. They're getting self-reliant, so I can do certain things on my own. And as you guys are probably aware, I'm doing way more private lessons at the moment to try and sort of bring in more income. Aussie English sort of slowed down quite a bit after COVID and over the past few years. So recently I've been doing a lot more private lessons to kind of pivot and trying to bring in more income to support the family and pay the mortgage, right? So I've got I think between 30 and 40 students a week, every day of the week. So it's been pretty full on. Yeah, I'm just looking at my calendar at the moment, and I think the slowest day that I have is probably today, Friday, when I'm recording this, where I only have 3 students, but 2 hours of lessons, and then I have to try and get work in there too, recording these sorts of episodes and everything, and then, whatever other chores around the house I need to do, cleaning, cooking, vacuuming, all that sort of jazz as well. So yeah, it's been interesting just looking back on my life, I guess, with kids more recently and seeing how it's changed. It's going through phases, and I imagine we'll transition into another phase in a few more years as well when Joey's at primary school and Noah's a bit older. They'll become more self-reliant. So it's been fun doing that. With Aussie English, oh man, I have to apologize to all you guys who have the premium podcast membership. So for the start of May here, for the last week or so, we've had some issues with accessibility. And the reason was, hopefully it's not boring you guys too much. If you start falling asleep, send me a message on Instagram or whatever and tell me next time, don't talk about that crap. But there were just issues with the website running slowly. I was getting, messages from people saying that they couldn't load things up quickly enough. And so I went down the rabbit hole of trying to work out with my team and with one of my ex-students, Vadim, who is a Ukrainian guy who is an absolutely lovely dude who works in web design and coding and computing and running websites and everything like that. He has been an absolute legend helping me try and speed up the website because that's kind of his speciality, speeding websites up and helping them run efficiently and everything. And so we've been, trying to update things and change things and adjust things. But what happened was that as a result of doing this, it prevented users of the premium podcast from being able to see the transcripts and the players. So that was a bit of a headache to try and fix. But the good news is it is fixed now. At least it should be. If you, for whatever reason, have trouble finding the transcripts for all of the episodes besides the Pete's 2 cents ones, if you can't find them for the Pete's 2 cents ones, like this one, that's because there's no transcript for these. These are the only episodes that don't have transcripts. But yeah, obviously, if you have any issues whatsoever, please still message support@aussieenglish.com.au. But that's been fun. So yeah, putting out fires and trying to make things more efficient and fixing problems. I'm sort of trying to think about how to help you guys with course material in the future. You will have noticed that probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I released a bunch of short story episodes that were then broken down line by line by me, and then sort of the story was played again at the end. And I got a lot of great feedback from you guys because the videos were on YouTube and obviously the website, and the audio was there. And effectively, the structure was like I had a short story based in Australia around a certain theme or topic. I then broke down that story line by line, explaining the vocabulary, the phrases that we used, everything like that. And then I play it for you one more time at the end so you can, again, work on your listening comprehension. So that was me sort of trying a different structure and trying something different to see what you guys would think. And it seems like loads of you loved it and were like, please do more of this. So yeah, if you are one of those people who really, really enjoyed it, please send me a message on Instagram or email me, pete@aussieenglish.com.au, and let me know you want more of them. I think I will try and use that structure in future for courses that I will release or content that I will create, where if we're covering a certain topic or theme, say I'm trying to teach you expressions or slang or grammar, I will try and create a short story with a video, or at least like images and text, so that you can follow that story along, and then you will see the English that I'm trying to teach you being used in real context in that sort of stuff, and then it's broken down and taught to you elsewhere in the lesson. That seems like such a really good, effective way of teaching English. And yeah, again, as I said, you guys seem to give me so much good feedback saying, oh my God, it helped, and I remembered certain sections. I think one of my students, Yusuf, who's from Turkey, brilliant guy. Absolutely love having my lessons with Yusuf. He could talk underwater. I tell you what, I mean that in a positive way. He's very good at talking, and we love having these passionate chats about things. But I think it was you, Yusuf, and I assume he's listening to this episode, that he was saying he had that moment of watching this episode, learning this stuff, and then when he was out and about, that vocab had stuck in his mind, and he found himself remembering it a lot more easily and being able to use it whilst he was, say, ordering coffee or whatever. And I was like, God, that is exactly the goal. That is exactly what I've been trying to achieve with putting together content to help you guys learn English, where it will be memorable. It will really sink in. You will remember it. It'll resonate with you, and you will be able to recall it and use it when you are out, wherever you are, speaking English about whatever topic it is. So that's the kind of battle, I think, as a content creator for people learning a language. It's a battle about how do I actually make it so that the structure of the content will help you learn and remember the thing as concisely, as enjoyably, as effortlessly as possible. That's the trick. That's the whole game. That's everything I have to focus on. So I've got a lot of plans. I think I want to put together some more of these 30-day challenge courses focused on things like, grammar, like the tenses in English. I might do Australian slang. I might do, what were the other ones? I might do some more episodes like that related to connected speech and pronunciation as well. And I'm sort of mentioning these things because I would, excuse me, I would love your feedback. If there are certain things you would like me to create these sorts of lessons or courses about using this kind of structure, please feel free to message me. I'm always open to hearing your ideas. And in fact, I welcome and enjoy it, because you guys often know better than me the kind of content that you enjoy using to improve your English, because you are the ones learning the English, right? So yeah, that's where that's been. What else? Like other plans with Aussie English? I'm trying to think what else is ahead besides that. It's mainly just trying to get organized on my part and get structured and, pull my thumb out and be able to keep pumping out everything on a regular basis. Getting these podcast episodes out, doing YouTube more frequently, being more active on Instagram. But it's just a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work. And you get burnt out quite a bit. That's probably why you haven't seen me too active on Instagram. It's kind of just, I don't know, I just get kind of tired of staring at the phone all day and being on the computer all day. So you kind of have to pick your demons. You have to pick your battles. And the podcast is obviously first and foremost, and the website and the courses and everything. That's the primary focus of Aussie English. But yeah, anyway, I'm probably rambling, but I'm trying to sort of be candid and honest and open with you guys about where I'm at with things, and just talk off the top of my head and from the heart. So that's where we are. I guess sort of, sad news about the academy. One of our teachers has had to take a break indefinitely. So Libby is taking a break from teaching on the academy. She was doing weekly lessons, fluency and sort of advanced discussion and business English lessons. She's had some difficulty with her health, so she is taking a step back for a while, and will hopefully be back in the future. But yeah, if you are in the Academy membership, the Speaking Academy membership, and you don't see Libby for now, that's what's happened. She's dealing with some illness issues and some other problems, and hopefully she'll be back in the future. But I just wanted to say massive thank you to Libby for all of the classes she's done. She's been in the Academy running classes with students and helping them improve their fluency and their business English, and answering questions in the group chat and everything like that for probably 2 or 3 years, I think, at least now. Maybe even longer. Libby's been with us since post-COVID, so probably 2 or 3 years. But she's been a big part of the Aussie English family, and I just wanted to say thank you, Libby, so much for everything, and we'll miss you, and I hope we see you back here in the future. Anyway, guys, that's sort of it for now. I could keep rabbiting on, but I always feel like it gets to a point where you guys are probably like, come on, Pete, wrap it up. But yes, thank you for joining me. I hope you appreciate this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you with your English, and I hope to see you on here next time. Tooroo.